With each passing generation of consoles, there has been one series that continues to stick around: Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has been around since 1987, and to this day, it continues to thrive. It is without a doubt the series' beloved, and a very much beloved game in this series for many is Final Fantasy VI. Odin here. Final Fantasy VI is a game that surely stands the test of time. This game really stands out as one of my favorite games in the franchise, and it took me so long to play it. That is a crime in itself. So, want to hear my thoughts on this masterpiece? Well, before I start, let's get that limit break gauge up by liking, subscribing, and most importantly, hitting that notification bell for future content from yours truly. Disclaimer: all thoughts are based on the Pixel Remaster version of this game. This is the version I played, and all thoughts are based on that version in particular. From the research I have done, this version is authentic as possible, and with some quality of life features being present in this game in particular. Some quality of life is always appreciated. Now, without further ado, let's get on with it. Final Fantasy VI was the last Final Fantasy game on the SNES or Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This was before Squaresoft left the Nintendo brand of consoles to the Sony PS1 for their next game, Final Fantasy VII. Before 3D graphics and, well, square hands, Final Fantasy was all about crisp pixel art. Pixel art is an art style that continues to age really well to this day, unlike Final Fantasy VII, where it can be pretty jarring to look at nowadays. If you look at Final Fantasy VI, however, it is pretty easy to adore the way this game looks. Pixel art is virtually timeless, and oh my god, this game is beautiful in the Pixel Remaster. What I love about the SNES titles is the way they age so well. Not very many of them look terrible by today's standards. Pixel art, much like other art styles like cel shading an example, can stand the test of time. The sixth installment of the Final Fantasy franchise released April 2nd, 1994. It was then localized as Final Fantasy III. I won't go into that naming nightmare because it is something that you could easily look up online as to why, but luckily that is not a concern now. It was critically acclaimed for many people. This was peak Final Fantasy, and I can attest to that. It took all the things that were learned from previous entries and put them into one single game. It was, in essence, a Magnum Opus of sorts, and it really shows. It was incremental and iterative from the past titles, and while mechanics were carried over from previous titles, Squaresoft hit a home run by being extremely ambitious with its narrative, and I applaud them for it. Speaking of ambitious narratives, Square really knocked it out of the park when it comes to this narrative. Right out the gate, you step into the shoes of a mysterious woman named ... Who is this woman? You'll see. What is immediately noticed is this sick machine she is using, Magitech armor. And that armor is kicking people's asses. She can wield magic and is considered the first female protagonist in the series. And she is great. Soon you learn her name is Terra, and from there you witness an event that, to be quite honest, is dark as hell. Immediately the tone of this game was set. People got Thanos snapped.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Dude, people are disappearing out of thin air, and then you are on the run. Yeah, that's a lot for an intro sequence. After a series of events, you join up with a man named Locke. He claims he is not a thief, and he helps you on your journey. Locke is a character you just cannot help is going to betray you at some point, but trust me, he's a great guy. As the story continues, you gain and lose access to characters, which leads to the cast and its size. The cast is extremely large for a Final Fantasy title. The standard JRPG trope, or the trope I guess I have in my head, is 7 characters. This game has 14 recruitable characters. 14! As you get further into the game, you gain access to what is called a choose your scenario, or choose a scenario. This game has sub-stories you can follow. Actual sub-stories that go alongside the plot. Damn, this game was ambitious. While choosing one or the other does not really change anything, you will eventually play them all, and being able to tackle the sub-stories in any order is very nice. I appreciate giving players agency over which scenario to start and which scenario is interesting to them. Being able to delve further into the characters and their emotions also adds to this title. The characters in this game are an absolute highlight, and again, the cast is huge, and I love all of them. Some are even missable. So talk to everyone, although it is quite obvious which ones are important. I mean, look at their sprites. Aside from the main cast, however, how is the villain? How is Kefka? Well, surprising literally no one, Kefka is now by far my favorite villain in the franchise. At first it was Sephiroth, again, no surprise there either, and then Seymour, which could be a surprise to some, but Kefka takes this one by an extremely considerable margin. He is conniving, silly, downright evil, and has the world's best laugh. As the story progresses, the game will introduce you to dungeons. It is standard Final Fantasy stuff here. You go through rooms with random battles and chests, but the design of each dungeon is fairly cool. Some of the dungeons even have interactivity with them to help spruce them up. Each dungeon has a theme to it, and the music for the dungeons are amazing. I can't say a single dungeon is bad, with exception to one. One of them was just plain annoying. I won't say which one it is, but you'll know when you just need to use healing magic for 90% of it. Each dungeon is paced just right, and it really kept me engaged in the story. They're not too long and they're not too short. Of course, when you do have a great story, and then you have great dungeons, you have a fine looking game. But what about the combat? Final Fantasy's staple combat system, active time battle. How does that fare here? Final Fantasy VI continues with the use of the ATB, or Active Time Battle system that was used in the previous two entries before it. This is a pseudo-turn-based approach where each character can attack when their gauge is full. This gauge's speed is largely determined by the agility stat, and the higher it is, the faster it fills. So if you feel like combat is slow in the beginning, don't worry, it gets faster, trust me. Each character in your party can fulfill a role, and the variety of mechanics made available in combat is very nice. An example, two characters, Edgar and Sabin. These characters are recruited fairly early, and the style of each character varies greatly. Edgar is a machinist, and he is quite good. He gains access to new skills by you buying quote-unquote tools for him to use. This encourages you to seek out these by talking to each shopkeeper and checking their inventory. Then you have Sabin, who fulfills the monk archetype. His skills are based on directional input commands, and missing them will mean that you also fail the attack. In a way, it makes it feel like a fighting game. Huge note. In the original Final Fantasy VI, you did not have the tooltip for these during battle. Which, I will be honest, I'm glad that's in this game. Sure, it makes it easier, but at least I don't have to be infuriated by not knowing what exactly happened. Characters like these make the combat of Final Fantasy VI feel extremely fresh. When you have specific playstyles and roles, it makes party composition feel refreshing and fun. It can be even further elevated when you further build out spells or roles for your party members via Espers. Espers in Final Fantasy VI are the way to build your character's access to magic. Each Esper provides benefits when fighting with that Esper equipped. As you win battles, you gain points towards that Esper that permanently gives you access to the magic that Esper provides. That is some flexibility right there. This can be even further elevated when you level up. Some Espers will even give you an extra stat increase when you level up as well. Like what? This incentivizes planning ahead with certain characters to achieve the best results. I love this approach to leveling because for me, I like to set up my characters early, and having the freedom to do whatever I want, however I want, is so nice. Aside from stats and available spells, Espers also come with certain abilities that are sort of like the quote-unquote summons of the game. An example, equipping Shiva gives you access to Diamond Dust, whereas Kirin can gradually restore your party's HP. So, just with Espers, you can give your characters more spells or magic, extra stat bonuses, and even extra quote-unquote summon abilities when equipped. Yeah, Espers are really fun. The fun is even further elevated because this soundtrack here is a freaking banger! I have not played a single Final Fantasy game where the music sucked. This is thankfully due to composers like Nobuo Uematsu, who took part in composing a majority of the titles, even the Pixel Remasters. Nobuo is a legend among the community, and like many reviews I have done before, here are some examples of his work. God damn, Nobuo. If only you could live and make music forever. Final Fantasy music, much like Trails music, are among my favorite soundtracks in gaming. If there is one thing for sure, Final Fantasy will have an amazing soundtrack. With all the major parts of Final Fantasy VI being out of the way, how did the Pixel Remaster change things up? Of course, quality of life was added that was not present in the original, and I would like to quickly go over those things. This included things like autosave and quick save. I will be honest, I abuse the ever-living shit out of this. Quick saves are extremely nice, and being able to just save wherever and whenever removes me from some toil of an already amazing game. Then you have a minimap. You can have access to a minimap of dungeons and towns that shows where chests and shops are. The chests are exceptionally nice, especially if you like to scrape every single pixel, pun intended, of a dungeon. Next is the auto dash. While this was extremely minor, it is nice to know that this was added. This just allows you to permanently toggle the dash instead of holding down a button. Lastly, there's diagonal movement. I did not even know this was not a thing in the original, and I am very thankful for it. It helps speeds things up a bit by allowing you to travel toward a destination just a little bit quicker. If you understand trigonometry, going diagonal will just be a little faster than going up and down, then left and right. Outside of standard quality of life stuff, the Pixel Remaster gave access to cheats if you want to abuse them, though I would not recommend it. You can toggle encounters on and off. This was exceptionally nice if you're doing some backtracking. Warning, this can break the game and make battles harder, obviously, so use sparingly. And then you have the boost multipliers. If turning battles off adds difficulty down the line, well, this removes that. You can increase experience gained, guild gained, and AP gained up to 4 times, which will break the game very easily. I personally did not like using this, but it can remove some annoying grind for 100% completion, which is always appreciated for, I guess, the achievement hunters out there. That is a bunch of changes, just exclusive to this version of the game. I really appreciate how much Square Enix went above and beyond with the Pixel Remasters, especially Final Fantasy VI. I will never say no to quality of life. It is always nice. So, Final Fantasy VI. How is this game? Well, this game is incredible. The story, characters, and music are top notch. In some ways, I wish I played this game earlier, but at the same time, I'm glad I got to experience this game for the first time recently. It is a special experience. This game kept me glued to my PC. I even took it on my Steam Deck because I just wanted to play some more. The story and pacing were really good. Sure, a later part can drag on a bit, but that is spoilery, and I want to savor that part for anyone who is watching this and has not played the game yet. If you are considering this game, do not pass on it. Seriously, do not. It is a masterpiece, and it really is a work of art. This game is up there with 4, 7, and 10, and is even a bit ahead in some regards. Have you played Final Fantasy VI? Is it your favorite Final Fantasy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get that conversation going. And remember, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you. Odin here. Have a Zantet Sukende. Peace out.